on my feed? No, I can't see you yet. Give me a second. Let me
Yeah.
just make sure I'm looking in the right place. Um, no, I can't see you on my feed, darling.
Well, I
Hang on.
can.
Let me check. Okay, let me just refresh that. Yes, we're
You
good.
can, right? Okay.
Absolutely.
Great. So I guess this is the best time to begin then.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay.
You can see me doing funny things with it.
All right. Hi, everybody. A very good evening. This is Sangeeta Deshpande, founder of Storyweavers, an organization that believes in the superpower of personal narratives and telling stories. Today is episode 5. I can't believe how quickly we've come all the way to episode 5. And although Women's Day may long be over, we don't cease to be women after that. And so here I am today with some very interesting women who I can call she in all caps. So, what is this she about? Who are these women? They seem to have brought out a trilogy of women's stories, stories of people like you and me, stories that need a mention, stories that you can resonate with. And so I'm here to unfold and discover what is it that brought these women together? What is she all about? And what are their thoughts on a lot of issues regarding equality, regarding success, and a lot more? So let me introduce to you uh, two of my, I can say, recent favorites. I have met one of them very recently, and her name is Dr. Sanjukta Chaudhary Kaul. Uh, Sanjukta is an inspiration. She is an academician. She teaches at the Binus University and Binus Business School. And what she teaches is very fascinating. She teaches about corporate social responsibility in areas of disability. And she loves observing people. She loves bringing out stories of people from everywhere. You don't have to be a superhero. And yet she will find the superhero in you and she'll bring you out there. So that's Sanjukta for you. Sanjukta, can you say a hi to everyone? And maybe if you want to add on something, please do that.
Hi, everybody. I'm delighted to be here. Thank you for a very generous introduction, Sangeeta. I think that should be great.
Wow. And now, let me introduce you to another of my favorites. Her name is Preeti Modi Iyer. I met her, I guess, a couple of years ago when we were part of a group which was into storytelling. And I found her very bold and I loved her style of telling stories. And she also happens to be a part of this she community. She is a performance storyteller. She is a corporate coach. And I think she's somebody who can hammer leadership into you, if I'm not wrong, Preeti. So let's welcome Preeti. Preeti, would you like to add something?
I love the way Sanjukta said that. Something thank you for saying so many nice things about me. It's always nice to hear lovely things about oneself, but that's good for now. You guys will get to know me in the next half an hour.
All right. So I think Sanjukta, you have been longer with this group of Indian women who bring out stories, and these are women who are, if I'm not mistaken, living in different parts of the globe. So what is she? How would you define she? When was it born? What is the whole idea behind this whole group?
Thanks, Sangeeta, for starting with that question. She is actually a genesis of 2022 women coming across different parts of the world. And the idea originator is a person called Brindarika Bose. Brinda is a highly talented young artist who's a multifaceted artist, who's a painter, writer. She's also a publisher in her own right. So in 2018, one of my close friends named Regina introduced me to Brinda. And interestingly, we all have connected through social media. So I keep writing on Facebook, Reggie, and I would read, and then Reggie said, we are just thinking of, a collection of stories of women coming together and, putting out different ideas, but Indian women, And one by one, it was almost like a very snowballing effect, somebody knows somebody. But interestingly, what I found, so this whole process started somewhere in 2018. I was on a holiday in Switzerland. I couldn't meet Brinda, but we connected and we spoke and all that. And when it started, I was very skeptical. I thought, okay, we have to just write one story, it's fine, 20 women, we are writing out. But what I didn't realize is that I got absorbed more into a sort of a movement. Do you get me? And it is one of I work because of our job, because of the nature of the profession, we work with different multicultural groups, right? This was one of the unique groups where we were all women, all professional, and I would say elite feminism. I would restrict that word, but yet all of us were closet writers. Many of us were closet writers, had published. We were editing Durga Puja journals or, Diwali stuff and all that. Everybody was passionate about writing. But what Brinda, along with other main team players like Ashwati, Sumona, what they did, Noina, they did was they created that beautiful umbrella. And that too, that was not at that point in time, we even had a publisher. We said, let's just start writing, for the joy of writing. Nirmal Anand, so as to put that, which is out. And that's how it started. And that was the genesis. And I remember in the early days, the only thing that really got me motivated to get up and check my WhatsApp in the morning, because across 8 or 10 different time zones, everybody's throwing their ideas. We started with many thoughts, what should be the title, what kind of stories, what is the template, the kind of buzz, I'll be very honest, I hadn't felt in a long, long time. It was great to feel alive, and discussing and very safe. That WhatsApp group became like a safe group, where you can talk anything without being judged. That's the beauty. So I thought one woman lifting the other, and together, literally together, the women came and we found the publisher, we published the book, promoted, had different places, and she was born. It started with She Speaks. That's what we started with. That was our book, in 2018, 19, when the first version came out. So that was the start of the movement, as I would like to believe.
Wow, I'm so thrilled. I think I can feel some goosebumps as you speak about how that WhatsApp group made you feel alive and how you connected and made a safe space. And I think kudos to Brinda and the team who brought up this whole idea that we need to bring out these stories. We need to come up with what we crave for. So it's like there are certain things in life that you cannot live without, and probably it's this passion that all of you have, which is brought out these wonderful books. So She Speaks, can you just show us a close up of that book once again? I still haven't been able to get a physical copy yet.
So we have the She Speaks here. That's where the book is, which we had. And we have gone through one of the biggest achievement I feel of this book. You see, 3 years down the line, you're pregnant with the concept, right? With She. What has happened? We struggled so much with 2 men-led publication, because the publication is a very male industry. And the biggest joy for me is to see with the 3rd series, we come out with both publications. So Brinda comes out with her own publishing house, right? And that is that is what it is. Each one of us branching out in our own little ways and trying to do. Many of us are now trying to work, saying, okay, this was kind of the first start. What else can we write? What are the genres we can explore? So we see that it's a personal growth and evolution. When you're passionate about an idea, you see how it helps you grow as a person. So I think that's what She is for me.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think it's so wonderful. And I'm sure this is where, it's a beautiful culmination of your passions. It's the leadership, it's the inspiration that people can draw from what, you girls as a team are doing. And a special hoot for throwing the, male dominated industry out from the publishing scene. No, I don't mean to be fighting with the men, but what I really like is, if there's something we want to do, we shouldn't be subjected to a gender bias, or we shouldn't be stopped because we are a certain gender. So I think so far I just find it very, very inspiring. So I guess I want to ask the same question to Preeti now, because I believe Preeti is a recent joinee to the She team. So have you joined like in 2019, Preeti, or is it
That's right.
earlier than that?
So I have just one book association with the team, but already I feel like I feel so loved, accepted, and supported, nurtured. Call it what you will. They're amazing, these women. Even I started off with a similar sort of attitude. Ki, हाँ, एक story है, लिख देंगे, then whatever is there, we'll do it. A friend of mine, Akila, who had a story published in the previous book, she, asked me, Preeti, would you like? She knows that I like to write, but like, I'm a closet writer. I sometimes send out stories. I write because I must. There is nothing, I cannot do anything else. It has to just come out in some format. So I write. And so I was like, but what story do I write about women? I tend to write children's stories and or something very serious, very, very, spiritual kind of things. So I was like, okay, let me try. So this was the first time that I wrote, first of all, flash fiction, which means, I had to keep
You
my
need to
word
restrict.
so much, so much. And every time, I mean, I went through one editing round, and Brinda and Shomona, the editors for this year, they both told me, Preeti, some more words can you remove? Some more can you remove? So it was good. It was a very challenging thing for me to keep it to that level. And it was wonderful because now I know that it can be done. And I know that the next story I write will be better simply because of that. So I appreciate what they've done, and I really admire, and I'm glad, thrilled, honored, if you call it, to be part of this movement. It is something that has become some of a movement, because in each of these books is the voices of so many women, and it's not our voices. Right. So in my protagonist, I didn't have very much in common with her other than, a nature to just want to rebel sometimes, but there was so much more uh, in the story and other all the other stories as well, which would give you, reflect women that we have met, that people we know. So to me, that's a voice that women have. I'm thinking that if you read the book and you find one person that you know, it may not be you, but it may be a person that you know, and that will connect you to the book. So for me, that was a big, big, big thing. Plus the all the proceeds go to to a girl child or to a women's cause, so that was wonderful for me as well. And
Okay.
what else do I love
So
about
I
everything?
have not known about this thing, that the proceeds go to a social cause. So would you guys, let me know a bit more about it?
uh, Sanyukta, you want to take that?
Okay, so this is relatively a recent concept. When we started at that point in time, sometimes you have a very good feel about what you're doing, right? And I think when you start on a project with zero expectations, you just want to do something which you are passionate about. At the end of the day, when as women writers, your pressure cooker whistle is silence and the phone is off the hook, and you're not thinking about the domestic scenario, and you find that little kitchen space where you can park yourself and say, okay, let me just write 250 words. We started with that part. So when we were starting, we really never thought about going into any sort of a social cause, but as we evolved, we realized that we are very privileged. We have a lot of skills. So while many of us were in the group were first time story writers, we had editors, we had polishers, we had professional support, typos happening, everything is taken care of to bring the book to that sort of an international quality being launched across the globe. So from that gratefulness or gratitude position, we decided from the last episode onwards, we decided that the charity part should become a very important part. So the proceeds would be wherever we are making the profit. See, the publication industry is very different. It's not just the print, where the Kindle versions, e-version. So the dynamics of profit, and publication has changed. So that allows us that luxury, to associate ourselves with a cause which we collectively believe. So if you say for the woman, by the woman, of the woman, yes, to a great extent. And again, we are now, the whole situation is very fluid, right? We are talking about what is women. We are now seeing issues around trans, right? We are seeing gender itself going through intersectionality, gender disability, gender race, gender religion. So therefore, the richness of the stories and therefore a cause, with women is very wholesome. So why not? So that's been the idea behind that.
Fabulous. And are you girls hoping to inspire any of these girls from the charities that you're supporting? I hope that someday one of these girls read up your work and possibly come up and say, hey, these are the women who supported me. Now let me take it forward from here. I hope that'll be like the ultimate thing to happen.
Actually, I don't think we've thought that far yet.
No, I
We
mean
are all
I'm just getting those
just,
ideas as you
we're only
say,
3 years
because
old.
yeah, no, but
I
three
think
is
the
a great age to have.
ideas are wonderful. What is a beauty? It's a beautiful. What she inspires me is a beautiful social experiment, right? Where you have a technology, where you have the willingness, where you have the passion, you can really put meaning in a meaningful way, to create something which is more substantial and has more far-reaching impact, social impact, which is out there. I think in all of the she stories, for example, I would like to talk in our Indonesian setup. We are representing Indonesia. So it's along with my co-writer. I have a co-author, Munmun. Munmun is currently preparing for a PhD, so is not able to join us for this thing. If you see Munmun's stories, for example, in the She Celebrate, she actually talks about sexual abuse, and she talks about links it with the festival of Lori. Okay, that's where and in the first story she talks about a debate coach. So the whole issue of women not feeling confident about themselves professionally, and yet there is that whole marital tension. You want to show the husband that I'm quite capable. So those are the kind of soft spots our protagonists are taking. Uh, it's an everyday story, but nobody is really talking. It's an everyday narrative in Indian women. We interestingly will read this a lot about Americans, Australians, but unless it is by the top authors like Jhumpa Lahiris and all that, we really don't get a very raw insight, through short stories. You may get like Kapoor's books and all through more into novelish, kind of an approach, but you don't get a very individualized story-based insight. My stories I purposefully picked up. I use this platform to talk about Kashmir. So I'm married into a Kashmiri family. I have seen what Kashmir is, and I see the main narrative of Kashmir is very sad, very depressing. Nobody talks about the everyday beauties of a Kashmiri life. So I chose that, in my She Celebrates, and she speaks part of it. So we see that whole extended gamut of characters which are coming out, which is there.
Wow. So this is quite amazing. Now I want to check with you. Is this always going to be a women's initiative? Are men totally going to be sidelined from it?
I guess,
Um,
yeah. Why don't you answer that, Preeti?
no worries, Sanjukta. I think we're both going to answer very similarly, so that's okay. as you can see, we seem to be, figuring it out. So we don't have anything against men, but we want the girls to, we want our voices to be heard, and we want the voices of women who usually wouldn't be heard to be heard. And this is not like huge long, like like Sonia just mentioned, not a novel. It's a small story. It's an incident, or it's a little bit, or a little snippet, because our lives, it sounds so strange to say, right? But everybody's lives really are not super special. They're special to us, they're special to our family, they're special, but they are, if you were to see it, okay, my life is very similar to maybe yours or even Sanyukta's. I mean, I get up in the morning, I do, they send my kids to school, then whatever, have a shower, blah blah blah, get to work. So we have all of those commonalities no matter what. So that is what we wanted to bring about. And now for men, honestly, we really don't know whether we want to bring their perspective here also. We shall consider your option.
But adding to what Preeti is saying is, I think if you see some of the stories, we see the rise of the Indian women as protagonist is I would call it a very neo concept. Okay, so you see Bombay Begums. Suddenly, the woman is a protagonist. I think we have lived. If you see all the stories, there is a fair amount of gender mix and everything which is out there. The only difference with the She series is that the protagonists are women. The perspective, the how I would put it out in Hindi, the drishtikon is very feminine, which is out there, and I think it's very timely. I'm not just very much to what Preeti is saying. There is enough men stories, like I always thought when I watched Three Idiots, why could nobody write a story of Three Idiots, three women engineers doing? There were enough women engineers doing, right, which is out there, right? And you still see which is coming out from 5 point something, which is out there. There was never a woman protagonist. So I think one is the comfort of the gender alignment, that we would have with our own gender, which is out there. And as long as the stories are fresh, they're new, they're bringing, some sort of interest for our readers, because it's a commercial project. Why not? Why not talk about that part?
I think that's a fantastic point, So there are always two sides to every coin. And this was the side which was never tossed. So even if you tossed, it's like, one of those old Hindi movies which says, Chit mein jeeta pat tumhare. It has always shown us the same side of the coin, no matter how it fell. So I really like this idea. So now's the time to look at the other side. What is the other gender saying? And also to what you said before, the gender scene is changing completely. We no more have only Mars versus Venus. Now there are people who are saying they are non-binary, people who do not want to disclose. I guess very soon we are just all going to be labeled as only humans. There is no need to say whether you're a man, a woman, or somebody else. Probably the only distinction would be, can you give birth or can you not?
Yeah, I think modern
That's my
Indian
take on
women
it.
will also need modern Indian men. So a lot of our She
Absolutely.
series, you will see that the portrayal of the characters are it's a contemporary thinking, that you see in some of the stories which is out there. So these are not Bollywood, Shah Rukh, who's suddenly very cool, and they're real men. Because a lot of our stories are what is happening in our real lives, So we see definitely it is not like what you rightly pointed, men against women kind of a thing. We are very much, it takes two to tango kind of a situation, but just with a focus on the woman perspective and appreciating the woman realities. I wouldn't be surprised in our next series, we have a lot of Zoom stories, because the fact of the matter is what women are going through as working women or homemakers with the Zoom kind of life is completely different, and somebody needs to talk about the whole thing, like Preeti right now is doing with a kid who's playing at her, at her feet, which is out there. So it's very different scenario which is out there. I think another very important aspect is we have tried to create a small segment of Indian women, the perception of Indian women. So one is that whole goddess thing, that is which is out there, or we see straight on the women on the road. You drive down Bombay, you see really a poor woman. Yeah, but that is the two extremes. There is a lot of Indian women within these two extremes. So the she captures that narrative of of women in different segments, which is out there, and everybody writing from there. So she can have an extramarital affair. Yeah, she
I'd
can.
love to add something to this, Sanyukta, just as an add-on to what you're saying. So what happens is we are also looking at it from the perspective for the past three books so far, from the perspective of the Indian woman who has lived abroad. Some of us, especially for She Celebrates, it's about missing home. It's about
Yeah.
wanting connection. It's about feeling the need to recreate a little bit of your home there, while at the same time working to maintain and get an identity in the place that you move to. That's a very big thing. Because if when you move to a country, say where you know the language, it's great. But if you don't, then you learn the new language, you want to fit in. Let me give you a simple example. One of my friends told me this. She told me that her sister in law is working very hard not to send muffins, not to send idlis, not to send Indian food in her children's lunch boxes. And that is what is dinner, but it is not packed for lunch. And I asked her why. But she says because the kids start feeling different. So where do the children hold on to, and us as well? Where do we hold on to our identity, and where do we, give? So when she goes to a party, a tea party, where you're asked to bring a potluck, so she doesn't take that. She takes muffins. She bakes muffins. I'm not saying her muffins are not great; they're fabulous, but she would not even consider making laddus, or some Indian dish, that or sira, like how just something standard that all women tend to know how to do. She would not consider doing that because she doesn't want to be seen as different. But yet she knows she's different, so she has to maintain that unique identity and still be same. It's a very difficult process for most people, without a big Indian community. So a lot of our authors and writers have done just that. If you look at the writer,
And She Celebrates what rightly Preeti said. It was a lot of the conflict and the inner tensions, the negotiation. We are negotiating the space between who we are and who we want to be, or who the society wants us to be in our adopted homeland. Right. And there is a whole sort of bit of nostalgia and melancholy which is around there. So there's a unique part of that She Celebrates that you see is you will see recipes which are there, which we put out, putting
correct.
out simple recipes people can try. And while we were putting out the recipes, many of us actually went back and tried to, we are not publishing a cookbook, right? But God knows if somebody tries your recipe, it better be correct, right? So we were stressed. We did that. And many people did try. We tried each other's recipe. We tried, people were trying, our readers were trying, which is around there.
Wow, I love this. And when as you both speak, I have this image of a goddess with those eight hands. And I feel that, based on all your descriptions, this is not just one woman. So this one woman who shows the eight hands has to be, there has to be a woman who's a mother, who's a wife. She has to have the support of the domestic helper who forms the other two hands. There has to be another two hands of the teacher, who teaches your child at school. And I mean, this can even be the hands of a man because there are so many male teachers around. So those eight hands need not be the same woman. I think it's this culmination of, the way we say you need a
Woman,
village to bring
you
up
know
a
what?
child.
Exactly.
So that's what we are. We should probably not think we're alone anymore.
Actually, there is
Behind,
a story by Pallavi Roy Chakrabarti, which is called Durga's New Dawn, in the first book,
Okay.
which basically talks very similar to what you're talking about, and it is exasperation even of the goddess, coming home and seeing Shiva and the kids and all. That story drew a lot of attention within our
Okay.
group, with our readers, which was out there. So it's interesting that you mentioned that, just to put it out.
Wow. So good. So I already have a connect with somebody, even without talking to her, which just shows the power of how much we can resonate. So no matter which part of India you belong to, or where in the world you live, I'm sure these stories are going to strike a chord with you. Wow. So let me now come to your personal lives, ladies. I'm sure you both have work, you have your own careers, and then there is writing for these books. And obviously, you have your families. So, how do you, kind of juggle the time or strike that balance? Like, how do you maintain your sanity between all these different umbrellas that you're holding while it rains? Do you ever get completely drenched despite all these umbrellas?
I think for being part of the She over the last almost 3.5 years, I think one of the best things about the group is uh, there are no roles assigned except for towards the end, when the professional roles start coming in, who's editing, who's doing what is doing. I think one of the things is that somebody writes us, people in the initial stages, people would say, I wrote 250 words today. And you suddenly start saying, oh God, Reggie has written 250. I better start writing something, because you're thinking it will happen, but the creative process is not writing like an academic paper where you're, referencing 20 journals, and it is something that you want to talk. So you're not even citing anybody. It's your imagination, right, that you're talking about, which is out there. I think for me, the process was writing early mornings. It has always been writing early mornings. And for me, I call it like the morning tea or the morning potty process, that you would look at. Unless you do it, the whole day is nasty. So you finish it in the morning and just do within part of it, which is out there. Anybody in the family talks to me between 5 to 6:30, I'm very offended. Don't talk to me. I'm not available. Just do something, kind of a thing. So for me, it was like that, writing little bit words. Even for the other writing processes is what we are following. That so that was for me. I don't know what Preeti's strategy of writing is.
So for me, my work tends to be a little flexible. So when I'm doing a coaching session with a client or with a training company, it's all on Zoom now. So it's very, very much easier. Travel time is a lot less. Or if I'm doing a storytelling session, I tend to bracket days. I find it very difficult to do it like how everybody's, write for an hour every day. For me, that's tough. So I tend to bracket a day. So I'm like, today I don't have storytelling, or I don't have something, or I have something in the evening. So then I will set aside that day for my writing work, and I will just go at it. Then I will leave it for a few days, and I will pick it up again and edit. So I like big blocks of time, which are rare in anybody's life. So except for like the morning, when the morning is done, and the evening after the kids are home is taken care of, and when you've got that big block of time, is what I truly appreciate. And my favorite time to write actually would be either early morning, like Sangeeta, 4 o'clock, 4 to 6:30 in the morning before anybody wakes up, or late at night after I've thrown everybody, please go, I don't want to see your faces. Bhago yahan se. And then I would do that. So if I had a deadline, that's what I do. I either get up very early, or I, stay up late. Then during the day, it doesn't work. Then I'm like, okay, if I have some time, I'll nap in the afternoon. So I'm fresh for my creative time.
Oh, wow.
I
I'm
think
so
just
surprised to figure that you guys can decide and have that time and have your, juices flowing at that point. It's amazing. I'd like to pick those skills from you later on, offline.
No, I think one of the things, Sangeeta, what happened is that because it's a very women-led project, the sensitivities around that is very, very high. Okay.
Mm.
So we were very, Brinda always set out, coming from herself, coming from a publishing industry, she brings great amount of discipline to work, right? So she's firm. She's a very hard taskmaster. She can be, I wouldn't say brutal, but quite demanding. And that is very much required, because while one aspect is that you would like to think you're in a creative Zoom, at the end of the day, your word count is what it matters, right? And we have a very tight calendar, which last 3 years we are following, because the idea is very clear that the book has to come out on March 8th. So so now for the next year's work has already started. We are just over and above. She reflects, move to the next set of the she part of it. So I think that sort of a 12-month calendar, allows us to refine our work, fine tune our work, get 20 people to come together, momentum, everything is works very well around that.
Wow, that's really awesome. I mean, I really love to think now, so it's basically like running a sales plan. So when you have that target, you come down to what you do annually and then quarterly and then monthly and then weekly. So that's basically what you guys are doing, and that's superb. So I guess I will need to make notes to myself and try and work this way, because I guess I work very chaotically.
No, we are all like that because we have so many other responsibilities and so many other priorities. We all do. You're not alone. Each and every single, that's why we find it easy. So,
Yeah.
where we understand where the other person is coming from. And also it's literally beginning with the end in mind. This is being
Yes.
inspired that,
Yes.
okay, this is what I want, right? I want to contribute to this project. So that
Yeah.
means I need to get my story written. How I do it is my problem, right?
Right.
So that is the idea, to keep focusing and keep keep I use this analogy because it's my favorite. It's like keep getting up back up on the surfboard. You'll
Hmm.
fall down, get back up. Okay, आज
Yeah.
नहीं हुआ अच्छा कल हो जाएगा, नहीं हुआ अच्छा
Yeah.
कल हो जाएगा. It will, so eventually it will get done, because
True.
we are with each other, we are holding each other, we are supporting each other, and we are making time, and we are making sure that Brinda doesn't yell at us.
So
One,
Brinda seems
She's
to
such a
be like
darling. No,
one
she's such a
principal.
precious darling.
one
No, she's such
important
a
I
darling.
obviously understand that.
Absolute darling. I'm just saying this because, she's
No, I mean, but you're right. Unless you have somebody who is the black dog in life who's chasing you constantly, we as humans tend to be, we slip away from targets, we slip away from what needs to be done. So I guess kudos to Brinda here, and I've spoken to her as well, and she's a wonderful, wonderful person to speak to. Haven't worked with her yet, but thinking of the taskmaster,
oh no, she's an artist. And if you are a mother and you have a full-time career and you're an artist, you know that you had better be disciplined.
yes,
So it's
absolutely.
inspiring. You can't have paint lying all over the house. I
Yeah.
can imagine. So she's learned it, and she's teaching us. So I think you have to watch Tista or Sumona or even
Okay.
Naina. They're
I
all, or
love
even
all this.
Abhilasha. They're
Exactly.
all marvelous because all of them have those we all have that similar, I would say, the similar values.
Hmm.
So we're just blaming Brinda here for no reason at all. It's all of us are quite bad with each other because we want to get it done. We really want to, and it's a very gentle sort of support. So, I
Yeah.
can't blame Brinda alone,
But
So
I
Because
she's
think
too.
I,
also in the she, it's not just the writing, because the whole concept is so novel, so new. It was all about coming out. So there is a huge thing about publication, promoting, creating that sort of platforms and canvas. For example, my co-author from Indonesia, Munmun, she was full-time promoting the material on Instagram, so that sort of, and everybody is doing, their own roles, which is in terms of the launches and everything, which is giving talks, interviews, talking to the media, working around. Those are very full-time work, not just writing the 2,000-word story. So when you become a she author, your role is not just writing that 3,000, 4,000 word story.
yeah,
You kind of move into that she role is very expanded, and you find your own space, what you want to do. Nobody is telling you, how you want to explore that, which is it.
absolutely. Lovely, yeah. So I think with 3 books out, I would say that definitely looking at your disciplines, this is a huge success. But I'd like to know from both of you, what is your definition of success? And once again, I like to play this gender card and understand. Do women really like to, or do women need to be like men in order to claim success? Because a lot of times people just want to say that, hey, you go to work, I go to work, but although that's not what I personally believe in, I'd like to know from you, what are your thoughts on success? And when it comes to gender, do you think it's the same, or are we looking at something different? I would like to hear about it from both of you.
So I think women define success differently from men. Okay. We have a very, very different idea of success. What my idea of success would have been when I was a little girl and now as a grown woman is very different. Okay. We tend to be more successful. We tend to live longer. We tend to live healthier for the simple reason that we first define it what it means to us. Does it mean a home? Does it mean a career? Whatever it means. There's no judgment here, whatever you want. And then we plan something. And while most men get very upset when their plans fail, women just know that the plan is going to change. And because we know the plan is going to change, we kind of adapt. We are more flexible with the way we get to our goals, even though the goal may be there. So I took, like, for when my daughter was born, I took an 18-month break. I wanted to take less, but I wanted to be with her. So I took 18 months. I had that luxury. That's where privilege, Sanyukta was talking about. With my second one, I've had a much longer break because I moved to Singapore, new country. I didn't know what to do, and so on and so forth. So I took much, much longer before I jumped into storytelling. Now, that doesn't mean I failed, right? So I would have been a storyteller. I would have been a fabulous, I'm telling you this, I'm trumpeting my own horn. I would have been a fabulous storyteller at 18. But I ended up being the storyteller now. So to me, that is also success because I am happy, I'm fulfilled, I'm feeling satisfied. So that also means being persistent, because it means that okay, today it didn't, like I said, today it didn't happen. Okay, it will get done tomorrow. It means not giving up. So for me, the definition of success comes only when you achieve what you want. And it also comes from learning to let go, of learning to know that you can't do everything and you can't be everything. You can't, there are things that you will let go of. So you pick and choose the most beautiful roses in the garden, and those form your bouquet, and that is success. Men, on the other hand, have a different funda altogether. They want a different, and I'm not saying monetary income or whatever is not an issue for women. Of course it is. We want it. It is value. But our definition, even in an organization, is different. As for whether women need to be different from men, I really believe that women are the intellectual, how should I say, gender. I believe that women have more thinking than men do. Men tend to be more emotional. We've always been taught the opposite, but that is so not true. We tend to think with our minds. You put a woman as a general, and she will, like, okay, you say Ahilya Bai Holkar, you see Rani Lakshmi, she takes her kid, straps him here, and she goes, I'm going to deal with you, right? Just simple story. But if you take a man, he's not going to strap his child. He'll say, no, he'll give it to another woman to take care of. I say, no, no, you run, you hide, you do something. She's like, I can't trust anyone to protect my kid. I will do it. Bhaar mein gayi duniya. So women have that capacity to kind of take on stuff and be more resilient, as well as think through things and make the tough choices.
I guess I
It is,
completely agree with you, Preeti. I
yeah,
mean, that's the reason we are multitaskers. That's the
yeah,
reason we can run a family and work too. Because you cannot have a countless things on your mind and then get stuck somewhere. And
yeah.
men just tend to take it one by one.
Hmm.
You know.
So that
I
is
have
my
a
my idea.
I
Go
have
ahead.
I have a slightly different opinion. I think engendering success is very and generalizing for me is very hard. So I could possibly talk for myself. I compartmentalize success. So I'm a woman with disability. I'm Asian woman with disability and a professional. And for me, success stems from that particular identity. For me, success means paying my own taxes. Okay, for me, success means at the end of the day, I can contribute to the household and not just want to sit back, uh, to say that it didn't happen, or uh, knowingly walk into a conflict which threatens my economic stability as an individual. That doesn't mean that I cannot afford that luxury. But the question for me too is that uh, why should I do that? Just because I think I'm very conscious as an individual of my privileges. I'm very conscious of, the benefits that I have had, which others wouldn't have that. And so for me, success means is to work harder and to create my identity in a strong way, and bring together, the family members also to participate. So I don't want to be doing the kitchen job alone myself. No, that's not my job, just because I. So I think for me, that is how I would look at, the success part of it, compartmentalizing, uh, but competing on an equal footing, uh, compared to that. Because I find many men, like for example, I really think I wouldn't have been a professional if not for the support of my husband or my father or my mom, who are in different ways, or even my young son, the way they play their roles out, which is out there. So I think that for me, therefore, if I were to say that, would they be thinking differently as men of success? Possibly, I would have a slightly different opinion on that, but it's how we all would like to think, with due respect.
No,
Wow.
no, Sanyukta, it's not so much as different. It's about something. See, when you say compartmentalize, I completely agree with you because it has to be, right? You have
Yeah.
to have some amount of economic success, you have to have some sort of family success, you have to have some amount of this. And without support, like
Mm.
we just talked about, nobody can do it. It's no man, no woman, no human being. A man is also successful because there are people at home supporting
Yeah.
him. Women are successful because the entire family is supporting them. So that I'm completely with you.
Yeah.
So it's not so much different. Where I was talking about was, when you say, do men have to be like women? Oh no, I'm sorry, do women have to act and
Yeah.
behave like women to succeed? My idea was more from that angle. I
Yeah.
believe that you should not. I believe that women need not behave like men because we already have. We won't have the same skills.
Correct.
The skills that we have bring a different idea
Yeah.
of perspective to the table,
Correct.
and that you'll do the same thing, but you will do it differently.
Yeah.
So to be successful, you don't have to be a man.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
I
you
fully
don't
agree
have
with
to.
that. I think wearing, like I have a huge issue when I look at because of my work in the area of gender also, women wearing padded shoulders and dressing in a suit, for example, and or women sexualization at workplace of your dress code, because you want to draw an attention to your femininity as against, although you are equally intelligent rather than to your mind. That's a whole lot of debate part of it. Yeah. So to what Sangeeta says, do we need to act like men or not part of it? I agree with that out on that part.
Well, I just love the very distinct definitions of success here. And it's so interesting to know that, despite being career women, despite having your own families that you're holding, we all think so differently. And imagine, like, there's so many billions of women, and there may be so many more perspectives about success, about the way we think of ourselves. I guess what I gained from both of you is it's very individual. It's also based on your own experiences.
Sure.
And I think a big cheers to you, Sanjukta, for bringing out that, uh, you're not letting your own disability come in the way of any of these. In fact, you are going even stronger. You're supporting others, and I guess your teaching and your profession is also in the area of CSR to do with disabilities, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I teach business ethics largely, and I teach my area of research interest is more to do with disability, and more interest has been with gender and disability. My biggest concern, why what she the reason for she is it is not very different from what I'm doing. It's just the
Mm.
genre is different. My expression in the she series is in the story format, right? While my research is more academic in nature. One of my biggest stress points in my research is that Indian women are most qualified, and yet only the percentage of Indian women who actually work in the workforce is one of the lowest in the world. Indian women do not work. And the big question is that is not work as in they work, which would not get defined, in the truest sense of what is an economic labor. And you see the new ads which shows what Ma does, right? She's working from morning to evening, what every Ma does, right? But it doesn't get defined. My interest is more in terms of economic independence of Indian women, because we have historical factors of Stridhan and all those kind of the laws and everything. So the only power we have is education, and then realizing that education through an economic, outcome, where you're either paying your taxes, where you are earning a monthly salary, you have your own bank account, you have your own credit card, you don't think twice about buying a bag in a sale because you are negotiating something else for the family. I think that freedom for me is what my work is, and somewhere I've taken that also. Most of my stories are also around that part of it. So that's where my intersection is in my
I
work and
think
writing.
I can totally relate to what you're saying, Sanjukta, and I'd like to say that Indian women have come a long way. In
Yes.
fact, I personally feel that there is no other country like India where women can actually go out and work because of the support system we have. If you look at the foreign countries, you heavily rely only on daycares. You heavily rely on, a lot of other domestic help, which is where you may end up paying like, a mountain to get the same work done, which in India is very easily done. So I think a lot of women are waking up to this, and progress is being made.
Yeah, what you
It's
say is, in India, the situation is behind every successful woman, there is a mother or a mother-in-law or the bai. You know,
Yes,
that
and
is that is the that
that
is the
and
reason
it
it
is
is
absolutely important.
absolutely.
It's absolutely important because when you have that kind of a support system, that's when you can be rest assured you can go to work, you can give your 100% there, and then come back to your family to give your 100%. Preeti, any thoughts on that?
So I've been very lucky to have that kind of help. Not so much family. I mean, I've had a lot of family support, my husband especially. But I have a slightly different way of thinking about this. Slightly, not it's pretty much in the same aspect of it. But over time, I have realized that if at some stage they do not have any helpers, at some, see, it's work that is, although it is paid, is really thankless, right? Every day in the morning you're doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. So to me, that thankless job, uh, instead, should is such a bad word. I don't like to say it, but so that sort of work, in my mind, it would be great if it were valued enough that everybody in the house did it. That you maybe required a helper or somebody to come and help you maybe once a week as a like a little bit of support, because you have so much to do and you can afford it. Thank you. Why not take the luxury? But more than that, the rest of the daily grind, when we realize, when we do it ourselves. I don't do a lot. Still, I have a lot of support. I would not be able to be a storyteller, coach, trainer, and everything without it. So I'm not knocking it. But all I'm saying is that eventually we have to move to that level where everyone, mother, father, children, everyone does a little bit of that thankless job. And it has to be done. Not, I mean, I earlier thought that it was only Indian women that either had help or that felt this way. But it is true of a couple. I was doing some research, and even in America it's the same thing. Women carry the grunt of this thankless job. They just do. Which is why Marie Kondo has become so popular, because women are realizing, fine, you don't want to clean, I will throw it. I'm not kidding. It's really
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
They're like,
that's
my
a
house
great
is a mess.
point.
You won't clean it. So let's get it so simple that it's not possible, or it takes me 10 minutes. That is all I'm going to devote to cleaning or whatever.
Yeah,
Making the meals is still fun. It is still a part of the pleasure that people enjoy. And then the spouse, or you see, again, I'm going spouse male, but it could be a
yeah,
female,
it could
or
be anyone.
we are just going anyway. The other person in your family, or even if you're a single mother, then one of the kids who's old enough can come on and let's, okay, you cut, you chop, you set the table, you do this. But even over there, it's a chore. Why is it a chore? Why is it a chore to make your own bed, or
Yeah.
you know fold your own clothes or wash them. Thoda sa, I'm trusting that someday we, including me, I'm also working towards it. We will get to that level where it'll be easy. It is part of your day. You're doing
Hmm.
it without. So then there's nothing to thank. No, my things are taken care of. Little bit here and there, support to ho hi jayega. So my idea of not of eventually doing that, because even the helpers, if you notice, it's very sad to say, but nobody is happy doing that job. Even a
That's true.
helper,
That's true.
they
But
don't
then,
want
you
it.
know, it's like I see it in a slightly different light. Maybe that's their, means
Economic
of,
freedom.
yes,
For
that
them,
is
that is the
their, yes,
economic freedom.
that is how they pay their bills. So we all have to look
Correct.
at our own, skills and qualifications and what is it
Yes.
that brings the money at
Yes.
home,
But then again,
and
that
do
is
you
a
really
very
need it?
that's again a very slightly elite caste system, no? So the
I don't
idea,
think so, Preeti. I
no,
mean,
darling.
I just feel that, you have to offer, like you're a storyteller. So you
Correct.
will go and you will charge for your skill. So
Absolutely.
somebody thinks that they're not educated, they have nothing else. They can clean the house and they're getting paid for it. So I take a look at it as a very fair and square barter. I don't look at it
Yes.
as an elite caste system or but I guess we are already 1 hour into this discussion. It has been so intriguing that I kind of overlooked the time. And I think we can go on and on. But I guess it's time to, halt here. And I would like to say that it's been amazing hearing different perspectives. What I loved about today is, barring the idea of the formation of She, both of you have had really diverse views on every question, and I've enjoyed it, because it's not like I completely agree with just one or the other. Yes, I think some part of what Preeti says agrees with me, and some part of what Sanjukta says resonates with me. So I'm sure that these points are really important for women worldwide who will, some of which are here, and the others who will go through this video later on. I'm sure that you both would have inspired many, especially, to take off with that passion and fuel your lives with doing something you really want to do. So, what if you have to wake up at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. in the morning? So, thanks a lot for being here. And
Thank you.
I would just like to invite all the people who are attending this meeting to turn on their cameras. And if you have any questions or you'd like to ask something to either Preeti or Sanjukta, please unmute yourselves and go ahead. I'm sure they'll be very happy to answer you.
Yeah, it was a very interesting, and somewhere I thought that I was one of the character in the book. So I was
Wow.
really so much indulged in listening to both of you, like, and it's a lucky part that I am attending today to such a valuable and um, prestigious meeting. Like, I am really a very I would say a primary common core teacher. I stay in Mumbai, and I just got connected with Sangeeta last year in the pandemic, and I'm so lucky that she invited me for such a nice, interesting, and inspiring meeting. So I am very thankful to you all. I learned so many things. Like, I think I am not that good with my English, but today I learned many things, and I've noted down that I am going to learn more meanings on these more words also. So this was a very good learning point for me.
Thank you, Apni. We hope you enjoy a new book, She Reflects, which is available now in India.
Sure, sure, sure.
Thank
Thank
you,
you so
Avni, for
much.
your kind words. It's very, very sweet of you. And I know, like we said, now we are all in the same boat. We are all in that living regular lives, normal lives. There's no difference at all. Actually, when you come
Yes,
down to
yes.
the real brass tacks of it, we're all with you. So, and I would think that being a teacher or even a co-teacher is one of the most valuable jobs in the world. So that's what I meant, thankless job. You need
Yes, yes.
you need more
Yes,
power.
absolutely. Yes, yes. being a teacher, being a wife, being a mother. We are with so many leading characters in one body.
Thank
Yeah, that's the whole story behind the eight hands, isn't it, Avni?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. So it's been lovely. And I think just to sum up, so she is a group of women, of about 20 or 22 women who are of Indian origin. Yes, this is something I'd like to stress. They live in different parts of the world. They have their own lives, but together they come along and they have already published 3 books. And every book comes out on the 8th of March, isn't it? So there she speaks, she celebrates, and she reflects. I wonder what's coming next. I think we need to wait until next March 8th to know about it. And I love the idea that they're bringing out stories of women from all across. They're bringing out voices which are unheard. They're bringing out that side of the coin which nobody has seen yet, or which is not largely seen. And at the same time, it is so wonderful to talk to these women who are behind these stories about their views on gender equality, about their views on success, whether it is economic, whether it's compartmentalized, whether it's, a very, how shall I say this? Is it like a platter of different successes? Is it something where you can be flexible and say that, yes, I'm enjoying this success, which is a personal success. And later, I'm ready to take to the task and be successful at a professional level. So there's so many things we've spoken about, and how women and their voices are so important in order to bring up another generation which needs to know contemporary stories, that there is something else behind those 8 hands of the Indian goddess. And it is not just one woman who can do it all. So it is also the men who at times are the wind beneath our wings. It is not always a woman who is standing up for herself. This is not a fight. And I guess I've had an amazing, amazing time. And Avni, thanks for joining in. That was really humble of you to have opened up and said something so completely, you didn't hesitate, you didn't flinch, you just opened up about how you felt about this whole thing. And I'm glad you joined. So, any last words from Sanjukta and Preeti?
Just goodbye and read our book, and don't forget to write the Amazon reviews.
Absolutely, you have to do that, all of you. And the others who are still hiding away, would you mind turning on your cameras for a bit, and I can just take a quick picture? Will that be possible?
Thanks for having us, Sangeeta. It was a pleasure to hang out with you, even if it's online.
Thanks a lot for that.
Nice to meet you
Okay.
properly, Sanjukta. We've
Same here.
chatted, but this is like, this is the longest we've had a long conversation. This is amazing.
True. Okay, so Brinda is here after we've heard so much about Brinda.
So she's gotten up way early in the morning to be here.
I know, absolutely. A big thank you to her for that and
Ekta.
all the support. Hey, Ekta. Hi, Atul. So, if any of you have anything to contribute or say, please unmute yourselves and go ahead. We're fine with that.
Okay, I'll probably say some words. I have read the first part, that is the She Speaks, and I think so it was quite engaging. Also, I believe that I was able to somehow figure out an association what is happening in India, because the stories that have been written by the individual authors. I believe that to a certain extent they are the true representation of what is happening in the society. So I really love the first part, and I'm waiting for the second one, which is the She Reflects. So I'm eagerly waiting for that one.
Wow, that's amazing to know. It's absolutely amazing.
So, as an aside, now we can say that perhaps this will help the our male counterparts to understand to answer that age-old question: what is inside a woman's head?
That's a good one.
Thank you, Atul.
Okay,
Sorry, I'm just teasing.
fine. Shall we all just smile for a picture? All right. So, 1, 2, 3.
Oh,
I'm
Ekta's
gonna
here.
take,
Take one
I'm
more.
gonna take a couple of more pictures so that. Okay, let's, Brinda, I think there is a lot of light coming from behind you. Is it possible to close the curtain or something? Yeah, this is good. All right, so let's try once more. Okay, Sanjukta and Preeti, if any of you have the books, could you hold the book with you? That
I'm
would be a great
waiting
picture.
for my copy. Yeah, COVID has made it so late. My copies are still coming. So
Okay,
sorry.
but I also want to see your face completely, Sanjukta. Yeah, that's good. So 1, 2, 3. Lovely. Let me see how did this turn out. Yep, let's take one more. Yeah.
I think Brenda has all the she has a she celebrates.
Oh, great.
Do you have the she reflex, Brenda? The she reflex, the third book. She has a she reflex. Oh, there's the new book.
Oh, so could you hold two books together? Is it possible? Okay, I'm getting her to get into some sort of a circus now.
Yeah, she has both of them.
There she is.
Okay, that's fabulous. Let's go with that. So 1, 2, and 3. Nice. So thank you everyone for this. And could I hold back Sanjukta, Brinda, and Preeti for a bit more so that I can take, slightly bigger pictures with you together. And thanks a lot for everyone who joined. I hope you're inspired in some way or the other.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Avni.
Thanks, Avni. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
I think Sanyukta's left.
Okay. Okay. She didn't probably hear me or something.
So, darling, how was it? Peaceful?
It was excellent. Yeah, we are not online,